10. When I was 12, my dad knew a gentleman that worked in a restaurant that he played golf with. And it all started off with me working for free in that restaurant. It was a French restaurant. Within about 6 weeks, I was then offered a kitchen hands position, and I started working 4 and 5 nights a week. What happened from there was that from the age of 14, after 2 years in working at restaurant, I was then given keys to the restaurant to open that restaurant in the school holidays. I had my own section, and I was competent in managing services within that restaurant by the age of 14. When I went to school, I finished at the age of 15, which was year 10 here. Mum and dad said to me, if I didn't secure an apprenticeship by the time year 11 and 12 started, I had to go back to school. So I looked everywhere to secure an apprenticeship in the country area that I grew up in. And I was fortunate enough to secure a job in a Chinese restaurant. And that Chinese restaurant sat 500 people. So on Friday, Saturday nights, we do 2,000 to 3,000 covers. I was the only Westerner in the kitchen. For me, it was a great learning curve. I went to TAFE. Obviously, over here, you get taught French cuisine. So learning Eastern cuisine and French techniques was quite a challenge for me, but one that I really enjoyed also. After I became qualified, when I finished at the Chinese restaurant, it was 2.5 years into my apprenticeship. I then worked at a property called Peppers on Sea at Terrigal in a fine dining restaurant. So I went from Chinese cookery to French fine dining. And that really pushed my skill barrier to the limit. So I'd go home and practice everything I'd learned on my days off. So when I did go back to school, that I could put into practice what I learned. Quickly after that, the executive sous chef of that hotel went to Melbourne, Bruno, and he took on an executive chef's position at the Windsor Hotel in Melbourne. At that time, the Grand Fine Dining Room had 2 chef's hats. 3 is the highest accolade you can actually receive in awards. And I worked under Bruno in that establishment for 9 months in the Grand Fine Dining Room. And that was all Garrett-on service, where the waiters used to do crepe Suzettes and Caesar salads at the table and what have you. After that, I went to another hotel in the Blue Mountains here, which was called the Fairmont Resort. It was the only resort up there in the time. It was sort of in the early 90s, won loads of awards, worked up there for 9 months before I was approached to go and work on Hayman Island in the Whitsundays. Hayman Island at the time was owned by Ansett Airlines. It was the 3rd best resort in the world. And I went there to increase my skill set and potentially get a job overseas in Asia. I worked in that property for a year, and then I didn't make it to Asia. I actually came back to Sydney. I started off in Sydney at the A&A Hotel, which is owned by Air Nippon Airways, which is now the Shangri-La. I was second in charge of the brasserie kitchen. We had 25 chefs in that operation, and we would do 3 buffets a day, being breakfast, lunch, dinner, plus room service to 600 rooms. After I finished there, I decided to take on my first sous chef's job, and that was with the Hyatt Hotel Group up at King's Cross. The day I started with them, they had a really bad rating with their food review. They'd managed a 6 out of 20, and it was my job to come in and turn that around. So I worked very closely with the team. We obviously had to change the menu. My philosophy is, look, I'm happy to show you once, happy to show you twice. If there's a 3rd time, conversation's a little bit more robust. It was quite overwhelming for me at the time because I had a team of 16 and they all left fairly quickly, which wasn't a bad thing. So we recruited a new team. I worked there 6 days a week from open to close. And by the end of that year, we won Best Hotel Dining Restaurant in Australia. So, going from 6 out of 20 to being the best restaurant in Australia was great accolades to the team that we took on board and all the efforts that they put into achieving those results. For me, fortunately, career-wise, I was noticed in what we were achieving within that restaurant, and I was invited to go to the James Beard Foundation in New York to cook a dinner for 80 New York food critics. The only way you can get to New York and the James Beard Foundation, which is an institution over there, is by invitation only. And I was one of the first few Australian chefs ever to receive such an invite back in the late 90s. So then my career moved on from there. Then I opened a few restaurants for a few people. And in 2004, I was approached by the Trippus White Group to come on as a head chef at the Art Gallery of New South Wales. That business was struggling with their culture in the kitchen and their creativity. And my job was to help to sort of re-establish those relationships in the kitchen. It was probably fair to say that a few people needed to move along. When I joined that business, we had 5 properties. And by the time I left that business, we had 45 venues. I had over 500 chefs reporting to me. I had 35 head chefs across the business. So that expansion and growth was incredible. And today's conversation around, designing a restaurant menu, this is a great breeding ground, because across those 45 establishments, I had to design a menu planner. We changed menus every 3 months. There was a program to manage that. So, sort of every 3 months, there was 120 odd menu changes across the business. And we were religious in maintaining that, to be cutting edge, to be innovative. And then obviously I had a core team of head chefs that I'd liaise, and I'd groom, and I'd mentor. And to be fair, when we had all those policies and procedures and standards in place, we achieved some amazing goals. And without the people and without the team, and sort of providing that positive feedback and constructive feedback along the way, that wouldn't have been achievable. After that, I went and worked for a company called the Sydney Collective. It was a pub group. I worked with a celebrity chef called Sean Connolly. Opened one of his restaurants at the Balcony in Byron. And Sean was very particular about his brand. And once again, another portfolio that established really well and very quickly. Then after I moved on from the Sydney Collective after about a year and a half in a group role. And then I did some consulting for Pan Pacific Hotel Group. I came in to manage their properties, their Park Royal properties in Sydney at Darling Harbour and at Parramatta. And they just purchased the Hilton restaurant in Melbourne. And the Hilton restaurant was then converted to a 5-star Pan Pacific property. And I was involved in the menu design, the rebranding of the hotel. So I spent a few weeks down in Melbourne launching the Pan Pacific brand in Melbourne. Here in Australia, the other Pan Pacific property that they do have is over in Perth. So I worked with that group for just a little over 14 months in a consultancy role. Then I moved into an Italian restaurant group called Cronitis. Italian style restaurants. We had 9 properties, looking at growing to 15. Busy day in one of those restaurants was 3,000 covers. So in a week at Darling Harbour restaurant, we would do something like 21,000 covers, and that was before the 8 other restaurants. So very large volume. Processes were important. And then after I moved on from Cronitis, I joined a fruit and veg providor. So I was working very closely with farmers and growers and understanding produce and how it gets from sort of farm to table, and all the logistics that are involved in, a farmer growing it in the crop, going to market, logistics of going to the fruit and veg. That was an amazing experience to understand the fundamentals of, fruit and veg. Like here we are in chef world, just thinking zucchinis turn up, mushrooms turn up, not really understanding their journey. And that gave me a really good appreciation of product and produce and understanding what the farmers go through. It is their life cycle. And then after the fruit and veg providoring, I moved into a Lebanese restaurant group called Al Asil. We had a centralized production kitchen. They had 9 restaurants off of that. And those restaurants were primarily heat and serve. And just in these little photos that you see around here in the introduction page, the lady on the top left, Zoe, I promoted her to her very first head chef's position. I'd mentored her quite a lot because she lacked a little bit of confidence in the kitchen. And as we know, well, particularly in Australia, kitchens are very heavily dominated by males. So to have Zoe step up into that role, She lacked a little bit of confidence, but to give her her dues, she stepped well and above and beyond all that. She's gone on to win restaurant awards. She's now a leading head chef. She works for a very big group here called Maryvale, and she's now heading up a very large establishment with over 70 chefs now that report to her. The girls on the right where it says stars, fantastic and delighted, these are workplace students. So this is the transition between high school and workplace. I foster and adopt any support I can to people that are passionate about hospitality. So we would work with high schools to take these people on board for 2 weeks. And then what I would do at the end of their 2 weeks was get them to summarize their experience in one word. And that was a very positive program. The image down the left is Le Cordon Bleu School here in Sydney. I'm a student assessor there. I help with some of the assessing of when they go through their courses to present cuisine. And the bottom picture on the right is me hosting a masterclass based around oils. So moving on, currently in regards to national institutions, I am currently the National Chairman of Judges for Australia's Chef of the Year. I've held that role for 11 years. I'm part of I'm on the committee for Australian Technical Chef, looking after education and back into industry. As Camelia mentioned at the start, I'm on the industry expert panel, the hospitality alumni in Vietnam. Last year, I was the winner of the Best at Australia Institute of Technical Chefs for Certificate 4. I upgraded my skills last year from Cert 3 to Cert 4. And recently, as 6 weeks ago, I just won the World Food Championship seafood category here in Australia. And you might, later on, you'll see that golden ticket behind me. That now gets me through to the next round to compete in Dallas, Texas for the world title. I'm currently a member of the Australian Culinary Institute. And as I mentioned previously, I'm a student assessor at Le Cordon Bleu School. So very active in industry. I still consult back to industry. I mentor a lot of people, whether they're professional people, students or apprentices. I sit on advisory boards. I sit on forums at food trade shows. And as I mentioned, I'm chairman of judges, which is one of the major events here in Australia. So that's me pretty much in a nutshell. And these lovely ladies here from Le Cordon Bleu School, we featured their chocolate artwork around Christmas. It was part of their topics in chocolatiering. And so what we did here at the Park Royal was feature all their fine work. Because Christmas time we closed down here for holidays. It would have been a shame to leave them at the school and not show off their fine work. So today, obviously, we're here to talk about designing the design concept of a menu. So what we'll do is I'll take you through each of these topics, and there's a lot of things to take into consideration when you're designing a concept of a menu. And if you're there, if you've got notes, please take them. I welcome questions at the end. But what I'll do, I'll just keep this free flowing. And then probably in about half an hour, 40 minutes, we'll open up to the floor and ask some questions that you might have around the concept of a menu. So let me start by saying, how do you design a restaurant menu? Designing your restaurant's first menu should be a fun and exciting task. It is also a potential turning point for your venue's long-term success. A process this significant needs to be thought-provoking one and one with thorough planning. There needs to be a strategy behind your menu, not only with food, but also beverages. Every plate, bowl, and glass delivered to each table and to every guest needs to deliver a visible, positive emotion. If it doesn't, you and your team will have some crucial work to do.
Chef, I just have a student asking if you can make the screen in full, if you can enlarge the screen.
If I can make it bigger?
Yeah, probably you go to slideshow and then continue from the current slide.
Yeah, hang on.
Yeah, just click on slideshow and probably just go into current slide.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find slideshow. Oh, there it is. There we go.
Yeah. Let's just do current slide.
Yeah. Slideshow's not.
Yeah, just go on.
Yeah,
you see the toolbar. Okay, so that's from the beginning, and then there's another one from the current slide. You see the next toolbar? There's an option to go from the current slide. Or you can go from the beginning. Yeah, current slide. Yeah.
Ah, yes. Okay, good.
Perfect.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lovely. Thank you. The process to developing your first memorable menu starts here. The concept. If you've developed a conceptual plan for your new restaurant or bar, you would have shaped your idea into a tangible form with character, heart, and soul, giving your concept a visual personality. These characteristics will help you to define the style and size of your first menu. Target customers. If you've completed a feasibility study and business plan, you'll undoubtedly know what your target customers are. One of the first steps in menu development is simply knowing what your customers want and how much it is they're willing to spend for a meal away from home based on their lifestyles. The mistake many aspiring restaurateurs make is designing a menu they want, not what their customers want, which often leads to early failure. Competitive analysis. At this stage of the process, you'll know the fundamentals of your menu and who will be your direct and indirect competitors. Take your research to the next level and analyze your direct competitors in terms of their menu. Look for menu size, menu style, day part strategies, delivered portions, ingredient quality, and price points. Economic factors. Complete a SWOT analysis. Understand your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and threats. To determine the opportunities that present your concept based on the research from your target customers and competitive analysis. You want to list 5 to 10 potential opportunities and prioritize them in a way that will deliver a winning menu for your concept. Ingredients and items. Which menu items will define your brand and your success? What quality of ingredients will you need to use? How can you repurpose ingredients to maximize supplier buying power in addition to reducing waste in your food and beverage costs? What will your nutritional and flavor profile based on your target customers? How will you maximize productivity within your venue? Remember, you want to keep your menu small, ideally less than 32 items, memorable and easy to navigate. The culinary experience. What experience do you need in your kitchen and bar to deliver your desired menu items on a consistent basis? What roles or specific qualifications will you need? What is the starting salary for these types of positions? What is the personnel availability like within your region for these qualifications? The supplier selection. Having the right suppliers is an essential key to success, especially if you're producing much of your menu in-house. You need to ask if they're in a position to constantly deliver the quality product and ingredients you need each and every time. Do they only deliver on specific days? If yes, how will it store in your kitchen? Do the vendors, suppliers, have quality control and recall systems in place? Can they grow with your brand or your business in terms of quantity? You know, if you're looking at expanding your restaurant and you decide to open 2, 3, 4, 5, can your suppliers grow with you, and will they and their ingredients change based on the seasons to meet your needs and requirements? A pricing strategy. How will you position your concept and menu within the market? Do you want to be a leader in value and quality, or are you reaching a specific high income or low income demographic? What is the economic state of your hyperlocal area and target customers? What are your prime food and beverage costs? Take this time to measure your proposed pricing, portions, and menu quality against your competitors. Kitchen layout. Now that you know the core of your menu, you can plan for the kitchen equipment, bar equipment, square footage needed, and productive layout of your stations. You'll want to work with an engineer plus an experienced chef or a consultant or equipment supplier to maximize your productivity, storage, and revenue per square foot. Plating and glassware. Presentation is equally as important and will help deliver the wow factor. When a plate or drink is delivered to the table, put passion, excitement, and care into each dish or beverage. Look for innovative plate and glassware designs while keeping into consideration your portions and the color palette of your menu items. Marketing and engineering. Your menu is the #1 form of marketing. Without it, you have nothing. You want to artfully describe the story behind your brand and each one of your dishes with powerful, meaningful descriptive that will match the physical design of your menu. Using winning menu placement, product mix, and other engineering strategies that will deliver a consistently high level of revenue and profit for your restaurant or bar. Training and soft opening. Create a menu training schedule for both prior to opening period and for your future day-to-day operations. Take advantage of soft openings to make any last-minute adjustments, and don't forget about ongoing menu training for not only the back of house, but the front of house staff as well. What I used to do and what I always do is that when we have a menu change, I always did a presentation, the kitchen did a presentation, and then we hosted a presentation for the floor team that is selling the product. And it's very key that they are armed with all the necessary information about everything about that dish, from allergens to where the product and the produce came from. It's all a selling tool. And if the team on the floor is passionate about that product, just as much as the person that made that product, customers love the detail. They love the passion. They love knowing where their stuff comes from. Create inventory systems and pull-up lists plus in-house quality control systems for all menu items to promote financial control. Utilize these steps and answer these questions to develop a documented menu strategy that you can not only use for your first menu, but future menu developments in as well. The interesting thing about menu mixes for me is you'll always find in a menu, some items sell a lot better than others, which is very common. But what's important to know as well is that, you always have your high ticket items selling. It's understanding at what profit margin. And then those bottom feeders, those dishes that don't move, that is where in a very short, sharp menu that you can just drop them off the menu and you can replace them with new dishes. And that is an effective menu design that if you're constantly changing and being innovative, you'll have a core base of customers coming to your restaurant, and you'll have regulars. The regulars like to see change. You'll tend to find over time, when you have regular customers, they will always go for the specials because it is something different. Moving into topic 2, what is an effective menu design? Important components for a successful menu and things to avoid in a menu. An effective restaurant menu mixes a well-planned layout, well-written descriptions, and correct pricing for food cost rations. Good menus avoid crowded layouts, overly worded descriptions, and unnecessary graphics. Menu items should reflect your restaurant's theme. Important components of a successful menu. To consider when creating a menu to ensure the right amount of variety and balance, the spread of dishes and the ingredients used, the mix of price points and profitability, the seasonality within the dishes, healthy options, the ratio of dishes within each section are goals for an effective menu design. And seasonality is key. If you're buying something that's out of season, the chances are you'll be paying a premium price. Now, if that's the case, that menu item that you've put a certain sell price on, if the cost of goods goes up, your margin or your profit margin is less. And that's why it's really important to innovative, and 3, that you're still maximizing your profitability. The goals of an effective menu can be summarized in 5 statements. A well-designed menu should be an effective communication, marketing, and cost control tool. Emphasize what the customer wants and what the restaurant prepares and serves best. Obtain the necessary check average needed to realize sales goals and bottom line return. And what that means is that the average check, we've got a 50-seater restaurant. Let's say the average spend is $30 a head. So at minimum, we're going to take $1,500. Now, it doesn't sound like much, but by the time you have a couple of people in the kitchen and a couple of people on the floor, you pay all those wages, the cost of the food, the cost of the beverage, that average spend may not be enough to cover your costs. And that's why it's really important to understand your cost of goods when rolling out a menu in regards to its profitability. Utilize staff and equipment in an efficient manner and lead to more accurate forecasting of the menu sales mix. The goals of a well-designed menu demonstrate the importance of the planning and research that needs to be done before a menu design is finalized. Too much depends on the menu not to give it the kind of attention and budget that is often only given to significant capital investments. Too much depends on the menu to leave it up to the printer or menu designer alone. Menu planning and design is a team decision and should include representatives from the owner, management, chef or kitchen manager, dining room manager, and customer focus groups. The importance of menu content and design cannot be overstated. Much of the restaurant's success will be determined by its menu. That is why the process of menu planning and design must be approached with the seriousness and diligence usually reserved for major financial business decisions. Your business design needs to approach the perspective of the clientele that you want to attract. Traditional favorites and creative selections need to be included. However, the menu design must also address the operational aspects of food costs, gross profit, average check, purchasing, preparation, and kitchen efficiency. With these aspects clearly defined, the actual design of the menu will help management achieve their menu goals. Whether you choose to print your own menus in-house, contract the services of a menu design consultant, or simply work with your local printer, the profit, cost, and sales goals must be reflected in your menu design. No one can design a menu to accomplish these goals unless they are part of the menu planning and design process. This means talking to the graphic designers, printers, copywriters, and menu consultants who can offer suggestions on selecting type fonts, in color, paper texture, graphic designs, and all the visual techniques they can apply to a menu. Your most important internal marketing tool is the menu. Maybe the most important advertising device used to sell the customer once they are inside your restaurant. It is the only piece of printed advertising that you are practically 100% sure will be read by the guest. Once placed in the guest's hands, it can directly influence not only what they order, but ultimately how much they will spend. Using forecasted cover counts and average check targets, the menu design directly influences sales revenue. Management is constantly forecasting business volume and relating this knowledge to decisions on how much to buy, keeping inventory, and prepare. The menu will have an impact on every one of these decisions. More and more restaurant companies have come to realize and understand the importance of proper menu design on check averages. Several years ago, Houlihan's revamped their menu with a specific goal of increasing check averages. The menu was designed to lead the customer from the specialty drinks on the cover to appetizers on the first page to complete diners inside. Their old menu, by contrast, grouped all types of items next to one another on the same large fold-out page. This, it was felt, might have somewhat deflected dinner sales by making it easier for the customer to select only an appetizer. Menus are being designed, borrowing techniques from retailing industry that make items stand out as if to say, buy me. An article in the Wall Street Journal told of new menu designs highlighting the most profitable offerings that were also touted by waiters when asked to recommend a dish by the diner. A survey proved menu design had a subtle effect on what customers ordered. Using this knowledge, operators can boost sales of certain menu items. It was also reported, excuse me, sorry, that a customer will spend on average 109 seconds reading the menu. You have that long to get your message to them. The time limit needs to be addressed in your menu design and presentation. Some popular restaurant chains, like TGI Fridays for one, had a menu with more than 12 pages at one time. It has since been reduced to 6 pages. A properly designed menu can direct the attention of the diner to specific items and increase the likelihood that those items will be ordered. These items should be the ones with the highest gross profit and lowest food costs that help achieve the average check needed to return the desired sales. The customer decision cannot be completely controlled. However, it can be directed and not left entirely to random chance selections. Things to avoid in a menu design: menu descriptions that are too long and confusing, way too many items, price lists, the overuse of the dollar sign, over merchandising within your menu, bad item placement and reading patterns, no brand continuity, bad type font and selection. 3 characteristics of a good menu. Clarity. You'll find here when I'm talking to you all, there is a common theme here. We're talking about profitability. We're talking about clarity. We're talking about philosophy. We're talking about target customers, supply chain. So this all blends itself into creating a very good menu. So it's not just about the dishes we create. It's understanding in a restaurant, what is our concept? What is our philosophy? How do we best represent that in our menu? Do we have the skill set in the kitchen and on the floor to deliver on point in regards to say what we're going to do? Can our suppliers support us in the quality of the product and the produce that is going to make our product consistent? So there is a lot to consider when creating a great menu. Clarity. Perhaps one of the most important aspects of menu design is clarity. If your customers have a hard time reading the menu, their experience starts to diminish rapidly. Nobody wants to have to pull out their reading glasses or squint under mood lighting to read your menu. Make sure it's professional but legible. Price range. It's good to have a wide range of prices. Obviously, fancier restaurants won't necessarily have a dollar menu. However, within the range that's appropriate for your dining establishment, there should be a reasonable range in price. Additionally, it's good to cater to those who are less hungry and those who are starving. Having a variety in plate size can help you create a wider range of prices. Cleanliness. The menu itself should be presentable and clean at all times. It's very unappetizing to look at a menu that has smudges, smears, or dirty spots. Try to clean your menus after every customer. This also aids in overall sanitation of your restaurant. Structure. How you structure the items on your menu is really important. It doesn't have to be laid out in any particular order. It just has to be logical and organized. Having items listed in a long list with no categories, for instance, can be overwhelming. Myth has it that customers scan a menu starting in the upper right-hand corner, and convention used to say that placing higher price items there is beneficial. However, new research has shown that customers read menus much like a book. So don't worry about hotspots, just make it organized and easy for customers to find what they need. Currency signs. Another interesting characteristic all best restaurant menu designs have in common is they don't emphasize the currency sign. In other words, if your dollar signs are large, you should probably change that. Research has shown that emphasizing the currency sign makes people feel as though they're paying more, even though that's not the case. Some of the most effective menus don't have currency signs at all. They just write the price out in numerically, or simply 3, as in a figure, or 4, or 5. Photography. Use photography minimally, if at all. While you might think photos of your offerings will help sell, it's not effective. Psychologically, people associate large photos with chain restaurants, fast food, and advertisements. They're more attracted to a listed menu with little to no photography. If you feel photography is important, consider illustrations instead, as they can better convey the mood of your establishment without running the risk of sending the wrong message. These are just a few things you should consider when creating a menu. Creating an amazing menu that engages and informs your guests can help establish clientele that keeps coming back. Have a few people who aren't associated with your restaurant view your menu and give you feedback. You might be surprised what you can learn. It's really important that feedback is valuable. Understand your market. We're in a world where cultural foods are at the forefront. If your restaurant is definitive in a certain cuisine or culture, be true to its heritage. I've found in my experience that people say they're Japanese, and then you got Chinese cuisine creeping in, and you got fusion mixed in, and they tend to move away from the fabric of their food concept and their philosophy. So it's really, really important that you follow through on your philosophy and your brand concept. And as I said, understand the cost of goods, understand the kitchen layout. Kitchen layout's really important because if you have a workflow in that kitchen and your menu is complicated, that you're not driving the efficiencies out of your kitchen, that may complicate things in time to come also. Look, I've rattled off quite a bit of information. We have around about 20 minutes left. So we'll flip over to some questions and answers shortly. Just before I sort of wrap up and say thank you, we'll go through those questions. If you want to follow me in my journey, you can follow me on LinkedIn. I do quite a bit of work sort of with chefs and other industries under John McFadden. And if you want to follow my food journey, you can follow me under John_McFadden_ on Instagram. But what I'll do now is we'll open up to the floor and ask some questions if anyone has any questions. We covered quite a bit of content there, but as I said, there's quite a bit of commonality in regards to the concept, target markets, your branding, your philosophy. Not overcomplicating menus, don't make them too big. Are out of range. So hello, can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you very well. Our students actually on their assignment number 2 and 3 during this course. And what they have to do is, first of all, they have to create their own menu. Yes. And the assessment number 3 for them is to create their own pop-up restaurant. So they would need to connect those two together. And our students here, some of them are actually doing our hospitality and tourism program. And for the rest, they really want to learn more about food and beverages, and the reason that we're on here today. So everyone, if you have any question for Chef, feel free to put in the comment box. I can read it out for you, or you can open your mic directly.
Can I talk?
Yeah, sure. Or you can ask him, you're here.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, of course.
So how can I divide the menu into the logical section? for the like the European style?
So you mean logical? So the logical sections for most restaurant is entree, main, dessert. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, but see, it depends on your concept for the restaurant, because you could have, you could have starters and
Like
you could have
European cuisine or a fine dining.
Yeah, fine dining. Fine dining works the same way. So traditionally, fine dining is, you can have a la carte, you can have table d'hote, and you can have set menus. And the way that a set menu works is it's a set price with a selected range of dishes, and you can predetermine what they are based on that price point. So sometimes when you go to a fine dining restaurant, you could either have a degustation menu, which is 7 courses. You can eat off their a la carte, or you can have a reduced set menu. But it's all based around the principles of entree, main, dessert.
That's really interesting, because today our students start learning about different types, a variety of different menus, and I think it's been confused them a little bit. Learning about a la carte menu, for example, what's the difference between an a la carte menu or a set menu? And then a buffet, yes.
Yeah.
And when should they apply for what type of restaurant? And that's the main confusion that they have.
Yeah, no, I understand. A set menu is basically a reduced version of the a la carte menu. So you might have a set menu that's priced at $75, and it will give you a choice of 2 or 3 entrees, 2 or 3 mains, and 2 or 3 desserts, where the a la carte menu is an open menu and it's all individually priced. But when you look at the set menu, you'll find if you order off that, it should be slightly cheaper than if you ordered all those items individually on the a la carte menu. There's supposed to be a benefit of the set menu, because then the kitchen knows that they can create X amount of dishes, and you tend to find they're your more profitable dishes.
I have the next question here. What is the maximum range of menus should be, and how many items it should be in each category?
Yeah, look, I think I sort of mentioned that earlier in the presentation. Like, you're probably looking at a maximum of 32 dishes, and that gives you a range of, sort of, look, you're looking at 8 or 9 dishes in a category. Like, if I was in an a la carte restaurant or a fine dining restaurant, I don't think I'd be doing much more than sort of 7 or 8 entrees, similar amount of mains and desserts, because it just, from a preparation and service point of view, I tend to find the bigger the menu is, the harder to maintain consistency.
The next question here, Chef, may I ask if we should focus on when choosing our color palette and writing the description for each item?
Yeah, sure. Look, at the end of the day, like, the food needs to reflect the restaurant. So, obviously, the decor inside, the crockery that you choose, the tableware that you choose, and then the food style, because not all foods look great on a white plate. So you need to be very conscious of what choices you make with your color palettes. And the thing is, like, previously, sort of in the roles that I've in, we had one restaurant that was in the botanical gardens. So, obviously we lent on that theme a bit. There was a lot of greenery involved, and our food style was sort of, I don't want to say plant-based, but it wasn't a lot of work around sort of garden ingredients as such. But yeah, that does play a great part on it, and it sort of reflects your brand as well if you get those color palettes right.
Okay. Chef, we wanted to ask if you have been into a situation when you have disabled customers and you have to customize a menu that meet their need. For example, like the marking for visible, visibility of the menu.
Sorry, Camille, could you ask that again, please?
Yeah, the questions here is the design of the menu when it comes into serving disabled customers, because some of them might not be able to read the menu.
Yep.
And what is your experience with that?
So is this customers that can't read the menu?
Yes.
Yeah, so we tend to look, in my experience, I've come across quite, a few people that have massive intolerances that you don't find out until the day they arrive. And all you can do is work with the wait staff or the floor team to understand their needs and requirements. And they tend to take a little bit more of your time. But I guess at the end of the day, you want your restaurant to be known for that personalized service. And look, we had a gentleman that came into my restaurant a few years ago, and he had an allergy to salt, pepper, garlic, onions, lettuce, tomatoes, so everything you could imagine. And in the middle of service, we'd have to create a 3-course meal. So you need a team that's very understanding, a team that's flexible, and really they're happy to accommodate the customer's needs and requirements. So there's a little bit of personalized service involved within that. Sometimes not everyone's as educated as we'd probably like to think they are. So it's just a little bit more hand holding with those particular patrons.
Okay, I think there's a lot more question coming up, Chef, if you
That's
don't
right.
mind staying with us.
It's all good.
Okay, they ask if, this is more of a generic questions. May I ask if there are any differences in identifying the characteristics of a good menu among an a la carte or other type of menu?
The difference to the characteristics is ideally its format. As I sort of suggested earlier, a degustation menu is anything sort of more than 3 or 4, 5 courses. And then you can have wine matching with each of that. Then your a la carte, as I said, is a full menu. And then you have your set menu, which is a reduced version of the a la carte. So I guess fundamentally, each of those menu criterias has a characteristic because it fits a format. And you'll tend to find that you go to an a la carte restaurant and you have a table any larger than 10 or 12, they'll move you over to a set menu, which is a reduced version of their larger menu, so the kitchen can manage its efficiencies when the restaurant's full.
Chef, there are a few interesting questions popped up.
That's right.
How should we name our items? Should we base on ingredients, its original name, or we create a special name that suit the restaurant concept?
Yeah, look, that's that's a nice question. The thing is, for me, is that when I write a menu, I like to sort of feature the main component of that dish, so it is eye-catching at the end of the day. So, for instance, if the particular seafood that you're choosing is the feature of that dish, and to me, it needs to be highlighted sort of at the start of that description, so people know. And even with menu layout, what I've done in the past in restaurants is that we've gone from the lightest meal to the heaviest meal. So let's say you start with a soup, and then you've got a seafood dish, and then you go to red meat and then dark meats. Same with dessert. You start with the lighter ones and you finish with chocolate. So your menu has a flow from lightest meals down to the heavier meals, so entrees, mains, and desserts. Because and the thing is, in restaurants, everyone reads the dessert menu first, so they can make sure they got enough room to fit that in. But that's to me, with the concept of the restaurant is to if you're about highlighting the produce, then by all means do that. So. But then again, it depends if it's cultural or if it's communal dining and it's shared food. Like, it will lend itself to a different style again, is that, the whole idea of menu is
Okay. Another question here, what I have is on the guests who are veggie or plant-based diet requirement, right? Should we create a different menu for them? Because we don't want the menu to be too long. What's your opinion?
No, fantastic. And I'm glad somebody did ask that question, because we're now in a world where, gluten intolerances, lactose intolerant, we have them everywhere. It's part of everyday life. And what I've managed to do in all the menus that I've designed is to accommodate the plant-based, the vegan, the lactose intolerant, and excuse me, and gluten intolerant all into my menu. Not saying I have a multitude of dishes, but I always create a dish in the entree, main, and dessert section that accommodates the plant-based, because primarily, if you cover that, you cover most food requirement or allergens as such. So I don't necessarily create a separate menu, but I am aware of what allergens and diets are out there and dining preferences. But my strong recommendation is try and incorporate that into your menu without sort of leaning too heavily one way or the other.
So your suggestions would be to incorporate, maybe just give them more options for those who plant-based become more and more popular, and the same with those who have allergies, right?
Yeah, exactly right. So, you know, without a doubt, you're always going to come across people that are pescatarians or vegans or lactose or gluten intolerant. And you need to make a concerted effort. They're coming to dine with you, and the whole idea is that they want to come in for an experience. So, you know, the efforts that you go to for the rest of the menu, then you have to apply the same efforts into those dishes to make sure that those people come back again.
Oh, that's great. I think we have covered most of those questions. Is there any? Okay, I think it should be good for now. Anybody have any other questions? We still have a few more minutes to ask the chef. I think that would be exciting, chef, because we actually very new into this, and students actually have to come up with their own menu.
Yeah,
and
fantastic.
We still have. Yeah, I think it's a very, very good that we have you here with us today as well.
No, I think, where's the class? I can't see anybody.
They own. Okay, why don't we take a group pictures together? Can we actually turn on our camera? Because I would need to send it to the chef. Can we please turn on our camera so that we can see everyone and we can take a pictures together? Yay.
Where'd they all go?
Yeah, some of us still wearing face masks.
Yeah, that's okay. I understand.
Yeah.
Still can't see anybody yet.
You still cannot see? Can you see now?
No, I can't see any. I can see you.
Oh, you can see me? Okay. Is that why is that? Okay, I'm gonna control the computer. Can you sit on my seat and I'm gonna control the computer?
Okay.
Chef, can you see us now?
No, I can only see that handsome man on your computer right there.
Okay. Let me see it now. Okay.
No, I can't see anybody.
Together mode. Oh my God. Or maybe, you know what I can do right now? If somebody can screenshot and send it directly to the chat box. Okay. We're gonna take some pictures and send it directly to the chat box so you can see. So make sure that everyone please open up your camera. If whoever can screenshot, please send me the chat. Did we send to the chat box already? Okay. Chef, did you see the picture pop up? We actually have a lot of students here. In my class, there are 35 plus the students who are watching from you online. So I think in total, we're having around saying maybe 80 people in total.
Awesome.
Yes.
Look at all those smiley, cheery faces. What I might do, Camilla, I might get you to text me one of those photos.
Absolutely. We're gonna send you the photos and with all the information that you have. And guys, Chef is available on LinkedIn. If you would like to follow him, feel free to connect. And probably if you don't mind that our student can come and ask you for more questions, or maybe just ask me, right? And then
Camilla, like the thing is, everybody, look, I'm happy for you to contact me. Any questions or assistance that you need, I'm more than happy to help and accommodate any of those requirements. So if you want to reach out to me through Instagram or LinkedIn or through Camellia, more than happy to accommodate and assist. So please don't be shy nor afraid. I've helped out many people over the years, and I'm very passionate about passing on my knowledge and helping as much as I can.
Oh, that is perfect. All right. I think everybody actually have a good time today listening to the chef. And if you have any question, like we mentioned, feel free to contact the chef or myself directly, and we can all the questions gonna be addressed. If there's no further question, then I would like to close up this call for the day. And chef, thank you so much again for your time. I know it's late for you, and probably you're gonna go for dinner soon.
Right, all good. Fantastic. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. And to our students, I have seen also some specific question on menu design. For your information, that our group 6 going to have a separate on this, and we have a speaker coming from 5 to 6 this Friday, the 15th. So if you would like to come to the class, feel free to come, okay? And we can send the information a bit later to every class. Thank you so much. See you later.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.